Hello, and thanks again for joining us for another Fathom Live, a live stream show dedicated to giving you tips and insights from experts in and around the real estate industry. I'm your host, Jeff Sturtz. Glad to be with you again today. Happy October. And speaking of October, we have an event coming up, and this is my best attempt as a teaser here. I've got my it's a leadership summit Fathom coin, very very rare, so now you see it. Now you don't. And it's not in that hand either. It's gone. It's magic. And that is to say, we are going to be having a live virtual Halloween party on October the 27th, Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. So save the date. You heard it here first. It is happening. So save the date, October 27th at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. There's even going to be like costumes. There's going to be a magician, much better than me. And it's going to be interactive. There's going to be all kinds of stuff. So watch your inboxes for that, Fathom agents. If you want to join and you're not a Fathom agent, you got to become a Fathom agent. So that would be good. Or you could go over to the Fathom agent's house, hang out with them in front of a screen, and then do that. But make sure you have your masks on. Man, we are so glad to be back here. We're going to kind of do like a social media month. We have with us today, we'll be bringing her on in just a second, Julie Pierson-Fields. She is a longtime social media expert and happens to be Fathom's social media manager, so we're excited to have her next. On our next show in 2 weeks, we're going to have our own Wendy Forsythe to talk about some Instagram stuff as well. We're going to be going fast today, but if you do have questions, make sure that you ask them. I will be monitoring the social media feed, or the YouTube and the Facebook feed here. And so if you have questions, we'll do our best to field them on the show. We don't always get to hit every question, but go ahead and ask those. If you haven't checked them out, speaking of social media, if you haven't checked them out, check out Go Social Agents social media services. They offer effective and affordable social media marketing to help agents grow their business, including getting your account set up and looking nice. They do create automated postings for you. They have articles that are agent branded, buyer and seller handbooks, Facebook ad campaigns, and more. This is all to help you grow your online community, which is some of what we're going to be talking about today. And we'll also talk about how those go together. But if you haven't checked them out, go to GoSocialAgent.com. Also, if you haven't hit the YouTube bell, do that. That way you are notified when we're going live and you can ask the questions live here on the show. So excited for that. We have with us today Julie Pierson-Fields. Good to have you.
Thanks for having me. I always enjoy getting to share the social media love.
And you have a lot of knowledge. You've grown up in the marketing world. Maybe tell us just a little bit about that.
Absolutely. I grew up, my mother owned an agency, and I grew up running around printing presses and then being around designers. So I'm pretty sure it's always fun whenever I was that person. But yeah, then just love doing social media and helping people grow.
And you've done social media as a business since 2009.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
And you have a busy household, a kiddo at home.
I do.
And then your husband as well is in the special forces, right?
He is. So our 2 days are always very different when we compare what we did. So I made a spreadsheet. I saved, I generated leads, and he did other things.
And he goes and saves the world or something. Yeah. That's wonderful. Well, thank you for your service and being his spouse and everything that your family's doing for the country. So thank you very much for that on behalf of Fathom. Well, let's get into things here. We're talking about social media planning, especially today, developing a social media calendar for the rest of 2020. So we got basically 3 months ahead of us here of opportunities to use social media. And just kind of with the current climate, it seems like now is a better time than ever to really be engaged in social media if people haven't really done that. That wasn't part of our planned questions here, so I'm just throwing that at you. But is that true?
It is, and now I cannot imagine a better time to capture and captivate your audience than right now. So
awesome. So you're going to be our coach today, and I want to ask, as far as planning a social media calendar, why is this so important, and what differences is it going to make to our agents viewing today?
Absolutely. So, comment below if you have ever had a great intention of putting a post out and you got busy with, oh, I don't know, showing a house or doing life. And so by having a content calendar, you get rid of the coulda, woulda, shoulda excuses, and you just get it done. Now, and that also gives that you are able to take the time to create content that your audience is actually going to have value from and
Right.
build you as the authority. So,
Oh, and I forgot to mention, speaking of commenting below, if you do comment, we automatically enter our viewers into a drawing to win up to $200 worth in prizes. We've mentioned them here on the show, including some social media advertising for them, sign package, photo listing package, on target transaction. So even if it's just, hey, shouting out from Atlanta, like Rob Fountain did, you're automatically entered in the drawing. And if you ask a question or have a comment that gets used in the show, we enter you 5 times into that. So please get to commenting and asking questions. So planning out that schedule keeps you from starting something and then not finishing it, and shows that you are somebody that's actually actively doing business for your audience.
exactly. And taking that time to put that together, if you take the time and do it in one batch, I guarantee you your life is going to be so much more efficient, and just have it that it's not on your mental load.
Right, right. So if I want to get the most bang for my buck as I'm setting this up, what social media platforms am I paying attention to? Am I thinking YouTube or Pinterest, or what are the best platforms?
Absolutely. So the first thing I tell every single person, everybody's audience is different. So you have to go where your audience is. One thing I recommend doing, reach out to your current or previous clients in the past year. And also, this is a good little way to have a touch point with them. And just, if you're talking to them, just find out, are they on Facebook more? Are they on Instagram more? Are they on Pinterest more? What is their consumption of YouTube and Twitter? And that will give you guidance. For most agents, Facebook and Instagram is going to be your low-hanging fruit, that those
Right.
are going to be the best way, especially Instagram is such a visual platform. So, but yeah, go where your audience is.
Great. So as I'm thinking about Facebook and Instagram, and I'm probably in this group as well, where I tend to use more Facebook. I have an Instagram account. I don't really do a whole lot with it. What are the differences between the two, and why, and where are the strengths perhaps in each?
Absolutely. And obviously, for anybody who is not tracking on this, obviously Facebook and Instagram are the same company. So just to clarify, because I found out recently some people didn't know that.
Yeah.
And but they each kind of serve different purposes. I tend to personally prefer Instagram for more personal things. So for buying decisions, I tend to go more for Instagram, but also that's my demographic. Facebook is gears just a little bit older. But Facebook is also really good for educational articles, sharing things to build your brand authority. Instagram also can work towards that, but it's a little bit of a different mentality. It's a little bit of a longer game on Instagram.
And what is that longer game? What does that look like? And I know we're going to get into kind of the content, so I don't want to get too far ahead, but yeah.
So with Instagram really gives you a fantastic opportunity to engage with other users, and to really also, because Facebook you can engage with people who've commented on your posts and whatnot, but with Instagram you can be more proactive in reaching out as your account to other accounts, so that you then trigger higher in the algorithm. So.
Gotcha. Rob Fountain, who I think might have been the first comment on here, said, how many times do you touch or should you touch a target each year? Also, how many hard touches versus soft touches should you include in your calendar? We're actually going to get to that here in a little bit, Rob. So hang tight, but a great question. And then I've got another question here. I'll look at it here in a second. But as I'm thinking then, so as far as the difference then, Facebook might be a little bit more informational, and obviously it is relational, whereas Instagram is very much centered on that
personality relationship. It's very visual by comparison, perhaps, to Facebook.
And people tend to, not all the time, but people tend to play nicer on Instagram. They're a little bit more, it's a little bit.
That's because they're all Gen Xers. Gen Xers are just so chilled out, I mean, that's why. I'm just kidding. I don't know if that's true or not, but.
No, but Instagram is really good for engaging and building that relationship. Facebook is good for it too, but you have to have an audience that's going to engage actively with your content. So depending on your audience, it's just all about building brand loyalty.
So as we're talking about creating the schedule,
yes.
Am I setting up a calendar separately, like a spreadsheet or an iCalendar or a Google Calendar, and then I'm just using that to post? Or can I actually schedule this out as in I've already put them in the hopper for both Facebook and Instagram to be able to do for the rest of 2020?
Absolutely. So we'll start with the first part of that question. Obviously, as a social media manager, I'm a huge proponent of sitting down, creating a content calendar, and that you can write out all of your posts. You can go ahead and create images or put links in as appropriate. Again, having all of that, we use spreadsheets. I like a spreadsheet because I can clearly delineate what goes where, what platform. We can go ahead and plug in hashtags, all of that fun stuff. And then, and we'll touch on this here later on, making sure that you have a Facebook business page and an Instagram business account, and that they are tied together, which is super important because then you can get metrics. Having those tied together, you can schedule. So there's a ton of free softwares and low cost softwares, but I personally love Facebook's Creator Studio and the Instagram Creator Studio.
And those are native to it. You don't have to go buy a third party service.
Exactly. They're free. Now, if you want more analytics, then you definitely would want to get, and a lot of the softwares have, for most agents, you don't have a ton of accounts. Right. So you're not going to have 20 accounts that you're needing to monitor. Right. And most softwares have a lower tier that's usually either free or like $5 a month. And you can get those metrics and knowing what times and also your audience demographics. Things like that can help you make sure you're scheduling smarter. And I want to touch on one more thing that I promise I'll shush. On the scheduling.
This is great stuff.
One thing with the scheduling. So a lot of people are against schedulers, whether it's native or an app. And part of that is because so many people are really bad that they will schedule and then they forget to engage. And so you can't just throw it out into the abyss, hope for the best, and never go see it again. So especially on Instagram, I will go ahead and schedule, and then I set a reminder that, again, for me, I know exactly what time things are going to go out. I have a reminder that pops up every day, and then I just take 5 minutes and engage.
Oh, cool.
As soon as that post goes up. So, yeah.
Gotcha. And just, I probably missed it, but that reminder, is that something that you do separately, or does Facebook say, hey, this is going to go live?
No, that's just a separate, and I just set it on my phone.
You just do it, yeah. I mean, here in the marketing world, we have to think about those things as well. I mean, when just the events that have happened throughout 2020, we're ready for this campaign, and we go, hold on a second, that's probably not the right one for April of 2020, and we kind of have to shift things. And so you schedule something 3 months in advance, it may not be the time for whatever it is that you're going to say. Go ahead.
Well, having that quick reminder, it just gives you, and that's one thing I do recommend, even if you plan out a quarter in advance, do take the time just to do a quick check to make sure none of your posts are tone deaf with the current situation.
Great. 2 questions came in pretty much simultaneously, and I think we're going to get to this as well. This one's from Siobhan. She says, I think I get better qualities from Instagram, or quality leads from Instagram rather than Facebook, although they are the same company. What do you think? Do you think hashtags really work? Same thing from Jessica Fife. She says, do hashtags really help? And which social media platform should you really focus on using them? Do you want to talk about hashtags now and what that means, or do you want to wait till we get to the content stuff?
We can go ahead and touch on it real quickly now, because
what in the world is a hashtag?
So A good way to think about hashtags is a way to catalog your content and to make it searchable. So it's keywords for your content. Now, I see a lot of people using hashtags sort of the wrong way. If you are always using the same set of 20 hashtags for every single post, you're probably not doing it 100% correctly. And so to kind of think about this way, somebody who is looking to buy or sell a home, realistically, they probably aren't going to Instagram and looking up real estate agent.
Right.
What they probably are going to be going to Instagram and looking up is more aspirational. Okay, I'm getting ready to buy a home. What am I going to put in it? Or I'm getting ready to sell a home. How do I get my house ready to sell? So, and I'm not saying not to use terms such as realtor, real estate.
Sure,
like
sure.
Definitely not saying that. But when you do your hashtags, you can use up to 30. I personally don't love using up to 30, but I do recommend the rule of thirds. Take about a third of your hashtags that are really popular, that have a lot of use. Use those because that will help your content trend up. Then use another third of your hashtags that are more middle ground, anywhere between 200,000 to 500,000 mentions. The other third of your hashtags need to be lower use but more niche to your market. For instance, if you're a realtor in Atlanta, hi Rob, especially if you're in a specific market of Atlanta, Dunwoody Realtor or Buckhead Realtor, things like that to help get that searchability. Also, make sure that anytime you post, make sure to tag your location because that also helps. And if you schedule natively through Facebook's Creator Studio for the Instagram, make sure that you put in the alternative text. They aren't saying it right now. Eventually, it's going to help your SEO on Instagram.
Holy moly. Okay, so wow.
In the habit now, and probably in the next year, that's going to get a little bit more popular. So
okay, I just drank from a fire hose there. That is a lot of content, and this is gold. If you're watching, I'm serious. You need to pause and write all this stuff down because Julie's talking about making it so that when somebody's looking for something and they haven't connected with you yet and they search for it, you're the one that comes up for free. Because you're making sure that you've organized your content well. And the people that see it, they're not going to see like, oh, he's well organized with his content. You just put the right hashtag in there for the thing that they were searching for in that particular area. So you're saying, Julie, then if I'm saying like, I'm excited to buy this house, I'm looking for an interior designer, or I'm looking for some DIY projects because maybe they had an unfinished bathroom or something like that, and I type in DIY Wiley, Texas, where I live, or new whatever. Instagram, for instance, knows to say, hey, he's got some content. It was just posted 3 days ago, and it's going to bump it up so that when they do that search, they're gonna click on my post and be like, oh man, there's a realtor right there that that seems to have some knowledge about this. And am I on the right track? Okay.
And that's one thing about taking the time to play in your content. You can put posts in that are kind of those affinity likes and those things that people who are looking to buy a house, sell a home, are actually going to be looking up, and it's a value add to them. And quite frankly, it helps drive traffic to your account. So, sorry.
No. It's great. So you said find hashtags that are searched. You said like 200 to 500,000 times. Where do mentions? Okay. How do I know what those are?
So when you go into the Instagram app, let me back this up. There's a lot of tools out there that you can pay money for that can do hashtag research for you.
Okay.
And they're fantastic. And for agencies, for larger businesses that have a huge budget, they're fantastic. For those of us who are wanting to really make sure that we know that we're getting into the nitty gritty, just go into Instagram and just look on Instagram. And pretty much all the big Instagram gurus will tell you that that's honestly the best way to do your hashtag research.
So you said you go into the app and then what do I do?
Just go to the app and then just go to the little magnifying glass and just type in whatever you're looking for. And you can also, as an agent, you can set alerts for certain hashtags. And so that way you then can see if you can pick certain words. If you know your target audience really likes to look up certain hashtags, track it. And that way you can engage on any post. Even if you don't follow that person, you can engage on any post that utilizes that hashtag.
Gotcha. So for instance, I just went in here. I'm in Instagram right now. I searched Wiley, and I clicked the tags tab, and I see hashtag number 1 on here, or close to number 1 is hashtag Wiley, and there's hashtag Wiley Texas, hashtag Wiley High School. So I could do something about like something that the high school is doing, and I say, hey, cool community event, hashtag Wiley High School, and there's a lot more chance that I'm going to be noticed.
Well, and my thing is just a lot of, and I know that on my personal Instagram, I'm so bad about this. You get like that group of 20 hashtags and you have them saved in your notes on your phone. And maybe it's just me. You're kind of, I'm getting a look of like, huh? I
don't do this. I'm so, this is why we have you on the show. I'm not talking about this. I'm asking you these questions because this is something I never do. So go ahead.
So I get really bad, on my personal profile, I'm so bad about, sometimes it's easier to just copy all and paste.
Yeah.
But it is worth the extra few seconds to think about other ones that are very applicable to that specific content.
Okay, so think the content first and branch out from there. Not, I'm going to take my hashtags and then ram content into that.
Yeah. Okay. And in case if you have a mid-century modern house that you're showing, make sure to use
hashtag
things like that.
Mid-century modern, yeah.
So
awesome, man. That we didn't even have all of this stuff on here, but I really do think it's gold. So this is going to help you guys out if you're taking advantage of this. So let's talk about, if we can, what a healthy social media schedule looks like. Do I need like 2 posts a day on my Instagram account, or what does that look like from a regularity standpoint? And maybe just touch on the variety of content. We'll get into the content stuff here.
So as far as regularity, my general rule is you don't want to overwhelm your audience. And so if your audience is a little bit older, keep it to 1 post a day. Don't overwhelm them. And then I also would caveat all of this with quality over quantity.
Okay.
So I'd rather see an account with 3 solid posts versus 20 a week that's just
spammy,
throwaway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a target for me might be like 3 to 4 posts a week that I'm posting on.
The main thing is consistency. Everybody goes on about the algorithms.
Okay.
And everybody kind of complains. I love the algorithms. The algorithms exist to help users find content that works for them.
Right.
And it also rewards accounts that are consistent. And I know a lot of people talk about that. Well, I switched my Instagram from a personal to a business, and and traffic kind of slowed. It does a little bit. You need to have that business account for several reasons, but you need to have the business account so you can get the metrics. But Instagram and Facebook both have made a major deal of prioritizing personal interactions. Now, as a brand, if you are taking the time to engage, and if you are building those engagements and those interactions, you will get that traffic back. It's a process, and it's not always a fun process.
Okay, and you just touched on something as well that is important. So as I'm thinking about this calendar and scheduling this stuff out, this is not my personal Instagram. I'm using a Facebook business page and an Instagram business account, right? And then that content goes to those, and I can manage all that from the Facebook Creator Studio.
Absolutely.
Okay, for both platforms.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So, and we can, you can get metrics and all of that. And if you ever want to run ads, you have to have the business pages. You cannot run ads from a personal account.
So let's talk about content then specifically. And I know we've been kind of touching around it, but what should my followers actually be seeing on my news feed specifically? And what's the stuff that's just like creme de la creme? I mean, it's really the best kind of thing.
So There's several. So I always, let me back up. Statistics show images with people always perform better than images without people.
Mm-hmm.
So even if it's just a picture of like your hand and like typing something, I kid you not, they perform better now. Because I know a lot of people don't love being on having a lot of photos taken of them. But images with people perform better. Images don't have content doesn't have to be perfect. I think a lot of people get caught up that the lighting has to be just right.
Mm-hmm.
People give a lot more grace on things than you would imagine. And if someone makes a snarky comment, I guarantee you that's a huge opportunity for your audience will stand up and be like, y'all are no. But that's not there. But so I do recommend using a balance of posts that are obviously properties, things like that, a mixture of content that is building you as a brand authority, which would be articles, educational content, things like that, that just establish your expertise. The calls to action, which would be your sales pitch post. Please, 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 like a million pleases, don't overdo those. When those are overdone, people just tune you out and they no longer see your other content. So
Gotcha. So this is where it gets tricky with marketing. I mean, we're talking probably more about passive marketing than active marketing if we're to split it with a knife. When I'm sending out a postcard to a neighborhood, I want those call to actions very clear. Check on the value of your home, see what the houses are going for in your neighborhood, call me if you're interested, for a free consultation, blah, blah, blah. But that's the medium. You do that on social media where people want to find out about their grandkids and their cousins and whatever else is going on. And then you get this, like, buy from me kind of thing, and it annoys people.
Yeah. And that's why we highly encourage create engagement style content. I'm not saying well, one of the best examples you'll see is network marketers. You'll see it, they use their personal profiles and they'll have these random, and they're coached, have these specific questions. If you ever see anybody asking about who likes Brussels sprouts, they've been coached. It's things that people do to drive, because once you comment on somebody's post or a page's post, you are more likely to see that content because the algorithm's like, oh, hey, ding, ding, ding.
Right. This is valuable to you.
So that's why, doing those engagement posts do work, but they need to be in the lane of your business. Like if you run an auto repair shop, you don't need to post something about like ice cream.
Right. Right. So I just was introduced to Grand Millennial style. Grand Millennial. If Google it right now, and or tell me in the comments if you've ever heard of Grand Millennial style. And so it's weird to me. I mean, and I fall in that, at least that age group, that I would make my house sort of look like my grandma's, but with Steve Jobs, doing a little bit of like decoration as well. It's just kind of a weird mixture of stuff. But I might say, hey, audience, what do you think of the new, like the Grand Millennial style? Do you like it or hate it? And that would maybe create a discussion. So tell me, audience, what do you think of the new Grand Millennial style? Look it up. It is a phenomenon. It's a thing. It'll something in that will stick broadly, I think, but it's I like my grandma's house. What shouldn't people? Okay, you talked about buy from me. Anything else that shouldn't really pop up on your news feed that you have to run and grab an espresso for to sort of ease your nerves?
I know we're going to talk on this maybe later, but on a business page, there are certain topics you really want to probably keep out of the conversation, and because you just,
whether it's Laurel or Yanni, or whether that dress is blue or white. I mean, first of all, keep that off of your page. But yeah, we're going to be talking about politics. How do you have a conversation, or whether you should have a conversation, or when you should have a conversation about politics or hot button social issues. So keep that off your page. Stick to what is helpful for your business.
Yeah,
From it actually it means something for your business, not that we avoid topics just
exactly.
because they're controversial. But what am I hoping? So I set up this schedule. I've got content about, hey, this is something going on in my area. Here's a new house that I'm listing. What do you think about, this new trend in home design, market analysis, all these things. I can curate all this stuff, and maybe some personal stuff going on for me as an agent. Like, hey, had a really interesting, conversation with one of my clients, whatever that is. So what am I actually hoping to then, I pour all this in the funnel? What am I hoping to kind of get out of this from a profitability standpoint?
Absolutely, because it is time. It's time invested. And so when you look at your sales funnel, social media is really the top of your funnel. And once you start nurturing people through the cycle, they pull down to more middle of funnel. But where, where you really want to get is that when they are at a decision making point, you are there first and foremost. And sometimes they may be thinking, oh, hey, I'm thinking about listing my house. Well, then they see an article that you shared come up, and it's just, again, front top of mind. You obviously can run lead ads, and lead ads, when done correctly, are fantastic. But all ads do better when you have organic content, which is not paid content, going out as well. So
Great. So suppose I do have a service like Go Social Agent, who we
yeah,
advertise here, and they offer a lot of that kind of educational sort of stuff. I mean,
absolutely.
they'll how to winterize your home, or what are kind of the new trends in
Hmm.
interior decorating or something like that. They've got a ton of stuff that they get from Houseopedia. If you haven't been there, go to houseopedia.com. But if I have a service like that, am I still wanting to put together a schedule, and how does that work?
Absolutely. I would recommend just, if for certain services, you'll know, okay, they're going to post Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. And if you don't know, reach out and just confirm, because that way, when you put together your schedule, you can know, hey, okay, my Monday, Tuesday, Saturday, and Sunday are already booked. I need to create content for the other 3 days in those exact 3 days. So,
Great.
but yeah, yeah.
No, that's fine. So I've got, so just kind of start from where we were at. Setting up the account, determining what is relevant content for my area, including the hashtags that are going to go along with that content. I say, okay, here's kind of generally how I'm going to schedule it out. I get it scheduled on social media, or on like Facebook Creator Studio, for instance.
Yeah.
Now that I have it scheduled, and I know you touched on this earlier, you're saying it's not a set it and forget it kind of thing if I want to actually rake in the benefits of all that time
Exactly.
invested.
Exactly. You need to, once you have it scheduled, so let's say you're really motivated and you schedule it through the end of the year. I would set a time. It can even be just 10 minutes once a week, just to do a quick, hey, let me pop in, make sure, is all this content still relevant? Does anything sound tone deaf? Awesome. Then if you have certain times, and by having the business accounts, you can go in and see, okay, well, majority of my audience is online at 7 p.m. my time. Okay, so I need to get content out 30 to 45 minutes prior to when the majority of them are going to be online. And that way you can make smart scheduling decisions, but then just hopping in and engaging with your audience as they either engage with your content or engaging just with their content and building that name recognition.
Gotcha. Oh, great. So yeah, it's a two-way conversation on that. So I know the post is going to go out at 9 a.m. People start commenting on it, and I'm ready to reply to that, and that both helps them know that I'm paying attention. I'm there to answer their questions if they have questions, and then Facebook likes that, right? They like that two-way
Oh, yeah.
conversation, and that
Oh, absolutely.
puts me more in front of that person than I would otherwise be.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Get you your notifications, which you always want to be in somebody's notifications in a good way, not a bad
Right.
way. So,
Right. So, anything else before we kind of move off that topic of scheduling posts and the content? I do want to talk just briefly about sort of hot button stuff. But anything else that you would say that our agents should really know if they're going to jump into this today?
main thing is taking the time to go ahead and put it together a plan. it will give you higher quality content. If you're not sure kind of what to post, I would recommend making sure go to a source such as askthepublic.com and look up what people are asking about real estate, home buying. Again, Houseopedia is a fantastic resource. Tons of articles. So,
which they will be posting something about Grand Millennials, Grand Millennial style here, as Renee had mentioned, who we've had on the show before. So if you wanna just rip that off and use that on your social media, there it is. You're welcome for that. I don't know. I would like to see. Tag me if you do that, because it would be really fascinating to see how that conversation goes. All right. So this is sort of a bonus question, and I know nobody wants to hear about politics right now. Maybe they do. Actually, that's the funny thing, is we've become sort of hyper politicized in our society in the last 4 years. Everything seems to kind of sort of fall under that lens in a lot of ways. But when I go onto social media, and I've had an exhausting day of work and maybe being confronted with this stuff, I don't always want to see that kind of stuff. So, but at the same time, it's a great platform if you're very passionate about certain issues, things that matter, life and death kind of stuff, and maybe it's happening in your community. How do I determine whether I really should post something political, and not just for I probably wouldn't do it on my business page, but even on my personal page, whether I should. And then if I determine, yes, this is an important issue that needs to be talked about because it's affecting people's lives around me, how should I talk about it from your expert opinion?
So I'm looking at this from a couple different perspectives. So first and foremost, before you post anything, always just type it out and just pause and take a moment. And I always kind of use the guiding rules. If I would not want my grandmother to read what I'm saying, if I would not want my church to hear what I am saying, or if I would be embarrassed for my child to read out loud what I was saying, I need to pump the brakes and rephrase. And again, definitely not saying not to engage in conversations. Main thing is to do, when you want to have a conversation, do so with courtesy, professionalism, respect, and also kindness. I think if we all just operated with just a little bit more kindness, social media would be a lot more pleasant. So, and also remember that screenshots don't go away. So
right, yeah, it's there forever. Or plan that it's there forever, even if you try to delete it. So kind of the golden rule, do unto others as you'd have them do to you. If you wouldn't want somebody saying that to you that way, then you probably shouldn't say it. And the funny thing is, a lot of times we think we're changing people's minds by using that sort of rhetoric, but you're really only probably affirming either your own view or people that already agree with you.
Social media is very easy to become an echo chamber, and so it's just. And also just reflect on, is it really necessary to have this conversation on social media, or is this a conversation that would be better in person?
Right.
And if you don't know the person, like if you've never met this person, the answer is probably you shouldn't have some of the conversations.
Right.
So.
Right. No, I've always thought, I lead a church. I've always thought it'd be interesting to take the top, 5 posts of our congregation and put it up on the screen every week and say, man, this was an interesting discussion that we had on social media, and just see how people react. No, we actually have a very warm audience in our church, but that's just one of those examples. It's like, well, it really is what you're doing, right? I mean, you're putting it out there. I'm reading it. So what's the difference if we put it up on a big screen while we're all sitting together? It's just a little bit easier when I'm in the privacy of my house to say what I'm feeling at that moment. So. Great stuff. So stop and think, man, boy, that would solve a lot of problems. So that maybe that's kind of the overall lesson here. Stop, plan out what you're going to say, from now till 2021. And then when you have something that bugs you really bad, or you're really concerned about, stop and think before you post it. Anything else that you would throw on to the end of that? I feel like we've gotten so much good content just today. So anything else?
Just whenever you're creating content, just remember at the end of the day, social media was created to be social. And
What?
so create content that drives towards that and not the, cheesy, spammy sales. So people know when somebody's being authentic and genuine. So
Great. Julie, thank you so much. Every time I have a conversation with you, even within Fathom, I learned so much about social media, and we need to do this again. So we'll have to have you for another show. But this is just a good wealth of notes that people could have taken and used today. So I hope they do. So we'll let you go with that. Thank you again. For the rest of you sticking around here, we want to remind you that Fathom offers 100% commission and the tools designed for your real estate success. So if you haven't checked us out and you're not a Fathom agent, go to fathomcareers.com and you're going to see our commission structure right there on our homepage. And we don't hide any of the fees. We are a company that serves you rather than the other way around. And I think you're going to find that through and through, both in what you're going to see on our website, but also as you interact with our reps and local leadership. You're going to find a lot of that. So check us out at fathomcareers.com. Again, our next show is going to be in 2 weeks, and we're going to have Wendy Forsyth, our Chief Brand Officer here at Fathom, and she's going to be talking a little bit more about Instagram and how to take advantage of that platform. So we look forward to seeing you 2 weeks from today. See you then.